Hey everybody, this is Sheriff Tim Carter with the Shenandoah County Sheriff's Office, and we started a new format here. We're doing our podcast. We're actually videotaping the podcast. So, so this is 2023, first time we've tried this, and we're going to start doing more of these because it seems like there's been a lot of issues. And there's no local media coverage on any of these things that we're talking about. I mean, it's really sad. So the purpose of us doing this is to try to inform the public on issues that we're dealing with here in the Shenandoah County Sheriff's Office and in their community. And today we're going to talk a little bit about school safety. And I have with me, to my right is Whitney Mauck. She's a lieutenant who is in charge of our school resource officer program here within the Shenandoah County Sheriff's Office. Thanks for being here, Whitney.
Yes, sir.
And we also on the phone have Victor Green. Victor is a school resource officer, and you spent most of your time at the Central campus, primarily at Central High School here in Woodstock. Is that correct, Victor?
That's correct, a little over 10 years.
So been with us for a little over 10 years, okay. And then we also have on the phone with us Kailey Foley. Kailey, her current assignment is Mountain View High School. Kailey, how long have you been doing this?
I've been an SRO for almost 6 years now.
Okay. So we've got some real experienced people here, and I can't say enough about their experience and what they do for their communities and their schools. But so with that, Whitney and I were talking a little bit before we got on the air here, and I think what we want to start off is just basically asking Victor and Kailey, what are you guys seeing in your schools this year so far?
Well, our most common issues that we're seeing at school, top three is going to be nicotine vapes, THC vapes, and our struggles with our kids with mental health.
Okay. How about you, Kailey? Is about the same thing in Mountain View?
Yeah. We've
Okay.
had about the same thing. We've had a couple larcenies, and we've had the marijuana too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about mental health, if you guys don't mind. I know it seemed to me that, gosh, I don't know, guys. It seemed to me that we were on a certain trajectory before COVID, and then since COVID, it just seems like we're having more and more mental health calls. What do you think, Whitney?
Yeah, 100%.
So this is like not one particular school. It's happening
It's
campus-wide.
all, right. Yep,
Okay.
countywide.
Yeah. How about you guys? Were y'all seeing the same kind of thing that I saw with COVID and mental health stuff?
Absolutely. Our mental health, our kids have really been struggling since COVID. The unfortunate thing we've had across the county here is multiple completed suicides the last couple of years, which have really increased. And us taking kids to hospitals for evaluations has increased tremendously since COVID.
How about you, Kailey? You seen that in your school too?
Yeah, we have a lot of that, and it's crazy to think like COVID was where it kind of hit rock bottom, and it's not like it's gotten better. It's just stayed the same since.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell that they're really struggling. But I think since COVID, like a lot more kids are open to talking about it, and I mean that's positive. And myself and guidance and admin have gotten better about seeing the signs, and I think being more open to talking about it because it's something no one's comfortable talking about. But
okay, Kailey, when you start talking about it, you're talking about what, they're depressed or they're just not comfortable?
Yeah, and mental health, depression, suicidal thoughts. So I think that's positive that people are, coming out of their shells and actually talking about it. Because if you're not talking about it, you're not going to help anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think did the schools didn't I read? I don't really pay attention to the other departments' budgets, but did schools have like an increase in their mental health resources that they were assigned?
Yeah. So each school now has a student support specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So they're more engaged. It's not specifically a guidance counselor. It's a support specialist.
And is this at every school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So y'all seen some good things with that program?
Yeah,
I have definitely. The only thing is, guidance counselors, they're hard to find and actually keep, is what I've noticed. But yes, it takes them a little time to build relationships and having kids feel comfortable to speak with them. But yes, it's definitely improved through the years.
Kailey, were you going to say something?
yeah. Our student support specialist here is really good to work with, and if you have a kid, she's good with like putting services in place, like if they would benefit with a mentor or different therapies, like the horse therapy, the econ therapy. And it's just crazy, like when you actually sit down and talk with her about the different resources that we have in the county.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, guys, I know we'll move on to another topic, but I know Whitney and I did a radio interview the other day, and we did it on, I guess it was mainly on vaping, but we focused more on the THC vapes than anything. And what I'm hearing from friends of mine is that you're actually having kids, I guess the THC levels in some of these vapes are so high that I'm not sure if you'd actually call it an overdose. Maybe you call it an overdose, but kids are getting these things and it's having an adverse effect on them physically.
Yes.
So can you guys touch on a little bit about what we're doing with the THC vapes and the vaping and things like that in the schools?
Yeah, and to touch up with your overdose, but if you take anything over the recommended dose and you have an adverse effect, to me, that's an overdose.
Right. Okay.
What we're seeing is generally a kid, there's 3 different strands of THC, and if they take sativa, which increases your heart rate, they have anxiety attacks, or vomiting, having trouble breathing, and just anxiety overload. Typically, a couple times a year, we'll have to send kids from school to the ER to get checked just because of that.
All right, guys. One thing, as we're sitting here talking about the THC pens and mental health, so are we seeing a connection between those two issues?
Absolutely. A lot of times when we do get kids with THC pens, they state that they're self-medicating to deal with their anxiety and depression. However, we're seeing an increase due to the use of the THC pens.
Right. So it has an adverse effect on, they think that it's helping their depression, anxiety, when really, typically, it's worsening it.
Yeah, it's increasing it.
Right.
Wow. Okay. Whitney, you seen that also? Or Whitney, Kailey, you seen that also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Kailey, where are they getting these things from? I mean, we've done some compliance checks out in the towns, and people. That's the first question people ask when we talk about this is, what are you all doing at these stores? And of course, we've done the compliance checks. I think we had was it one store that was out of compliance? And so, I guess my point is, it's not all coming from the stores. I mean, it's going from the stores to people that can buy them. But then, how are these young people getting these things?
I think it's mostly with people that are the age of 21,
right?
And then the kid pays them, or they're just giving them, or some of them have even talked about they've purchased them online because you don't have to have a. They're not very good with their compliance checks online.
Right.
You can just order them and they come.
Yeah, you can enter any age, date of birth, whatever on the dark web, and it'll be sent to you.
I was telling...
And you can buy in bulk.
Yeah. Right. I was... who was we... I think we were talking... it's like these things happened, and I hate to keep putting this in the COVID context, but it's like we didn't have this issue prior to COVID, and then all of a sudden we have this issue. It's like this explosion, and these things came out. And it's like... There was no, what's the word I'm looking for? Regulatory oversight to this stuff. At least not so it would benefit us. And when I say that, I mean like what you all just said. If they're able to get this stuff online that simply, then
How do you get ahead of it?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly right. I mean, it's like, okay, it's one thing when your older sibling gives it to you, or your a friend of yours that's of 21 gives it to you, but it's another thing when you just actually buy it direct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure what the answer is there, but okay. Anything else on THC? Okay, I'm sorry, Victor. Go ahead.
And, the scary thing that we're seeing is not your typical green leafy material.
Mm.
You're seeing the dab pens, the THC pens, which, like you already expressed, that they have a high concentration of THC, up to 98% pure THC,
mm-hmm.
which we haven't really seen the long-term effects of that.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. That's right. Are we seeing more of an issue with the THC pens or the nicotine pens, or is it kind of about the same issue?
I mean, that they're getting the nicotine vapes almost every day.
Right.
And then
the school resource officers.
Right. Yes. But then, I mean, the THC pens, it's not far behind the nicotine vapes. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a pretty close second.
No,
that's correct. And a lot of times we'll get both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if they have a nicotine vape, they usually have a THC pen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they look similar, so you just have to do a little more digging, but.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. School safety. Anything on school safety in general? I know we've had some training and some things this summer. Anything on your all's mind with regard to that issue?
No, I know I meet with some of the school board office members next week in reference to that and what we can plan for Christmas break and start planning next summer's events. So we're trying to stay on top of that.
Okay. While we're on the subject, we had another interview recently, guys, with same radio station, but we talked about this breast fentanyl pills. And, I mean, we're seeing those. We're not seeing those in a school, but, boy, we're seeing them in the region. So the question I had was with regard to the naloxone or the Narcan. This capability is in each of the high schools, correct, Kailey and Victor?
Yes. We also carry it on our vest.
Right.
But this year, all of our school nurses have naloxone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in every school? That's in every one of the schools, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. We got some pushback on that when we got the guys. Y'all remember that? I don't know if y'all were around when that happened. We had these people getting pushed. They were pushing back on it. And it's like, I don't know. We originally got it because we wanted to protect you all, the law enforcement staff, from getting an accidental overdose. Mm-hmm. And now what I'm seeing, it's not uncommon for this agency to, I would say, maybe half a dozen, maybe 10 incidents in a year.
Oh, yeah.
Where we get there and you have to administer this stuff. And if you weren't there,
what would happen?
Yeah, the person would die.
Right.
So, I mean, it is what it is. You get people out there that I guess want to complain about everything, but in my opinion, I think it's something you guys need to be carrying and have available to you.
And it's sad that it has to be in the schools, and we're at that point, but it's also, I mean, it's a positive that it's there and it's easily accessible. God forbid something did happen. Right.
Well, guys, is there anything else maybe that you want to talk about right now? I mean, I've got all my questions answered. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes of your time this morning.
No problem.
Okay. Kailey, you doing okay there in Mountain View?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Okay. All right. Well, again, Whitney, Victor, Kailey, thanks so much for taking a few minutes of your time today. And this is the Shenandoah County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Tim Carter. Thank you all for joining us here on The Source. You can find this and all other podcasts on my YouTube channel, which is at Timothy Carter. And while you're there, please go ahead and smash that like button or subscribe, and you'll get new show updates. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Sure.
Thank you.